It's a cold, snowy day in West Virginia, so I figured I would make a video on my tool trailer. It is currently February 20th of 2025. I've seen several videos of tool trailers in the past. I tried to set one up once before. I had a 12-footer single axle. I ended up having too much weight in there. I had to switch to a tandem axle, so I upgraded to a 16-foot V-nose. As you can see, I have shore power here that plugs in just to a standard outlet. I have the drop gate on the back. Just your standard door. Get in. I try not to waste any space when I was putting this together. Like many of you, I've watched several videos on tool trailers and how to put them together. This is what works for me and the type of jobs that I typically do. So I've got my levels, squares, spare hammers, multiple tape measures, quick clock kit for bleeding, accidents, injuries, tourniquet, whatever we may need there for an accident. On this side, before I step in, you'll see you've got heater down here. I've got a battery that goes to my inverter, so that will allow me to run a light system if I don't have short power, or plug in a charger if I need it. Typically do not carry flammable items in here. I've got a job tomorrow where I'm going to need a generator. I got my 20-volt miter saw hanging up here by the inverter, my flooring cutter beside that there, hung up well out of the way. Primary tool belt here, spare tool belt for someone shows up on a job as a helper, they don't have one. Over here, my bigger tape measure, longer tape measure, electrical pouch, cable cutters, fire extinguisher, and a big floor jack, 3-ton. That's come in handy a few times. I've had to change a few flats as I was learning to pull a 16-foot trailer. It's quite the learning curve there. Back in this corner, I have my 36-inch tile cutter, and then also a tripod for my builder's level / transit. And then what's nice about that tripod is I can mount this fan to it as well if I set up a canopy on a hot summer day to get a breeze going. I've got a locker in here, and that just keeps spare clothes, some emergency peanut butter, a few things I might need. Got the microwave here, refrigerator here. I never had any issues pulling it. I've been pulling this for about almost a year now. A couple fold-out chairs. Typically don't use those, but they are nice if you do have a downtime situation. A few larger boxes of fasteners here, and this is a lot of cleaning stuff. Towels, Swiffer, gloves, wipes for the ground for your hands. Back here, some road cones if you're in a sketchy area when you have to park. The black cans that you can only see the lid of here, wasp spray, that has been very handy numerous times. Some cough drops, because for construction you're going to be out in the cold. May as well make yourself a little bit comfortable. On top of microwave, my guys put it in backwards. Last time I used it, it's first aid kit. Microwave, in order to make that toe, I had to take a pool noodle, put it in there to hold that rotating glass down, but that's worked perfect. Again, I've had this set up for a year. I've not had any issues with that moving around or breaking. Refrigerator does quite well for me as long as you keep it strapped in. Got my waters in there and my one emergency beer for the bad days. Over here I've got my stand for my 20-volt miter saw. I've got my smaller sawhorses. I have a larger set that I typically don't carry in the trailer. I don't. If I'm doing a large job, I'll bring out my bigger folding jaw horses. But those ones from Stanley there, I think it was 30 bucks for a pair, worked really well. The platform here, and then I'll move over to my tool section. You're going to see a lot of DeWalt in here. I like a lot of different tool brands. DeWalt is what I started with, so that's the platform that has worked well for me in the past and does well for carpentry type situations. So as I come over here, you'll see I've seen a lot of people in these videos, they would take plywood and build these plywood structures to hang your drills or your impacts, and that's more weight, more building, and it's nowhere near as fast as just popping one of these off and using one of these clips here. So I've never had one of these tools fall off of those clips. And again, I live in West Virginia, not the smoothest of roads, our fair share of potholes. I've never had any of these fall. So a couple different, carry 3 different impacts, just that way you might have one set up for one application, one with another tip, or just multiple people working with you. You need to be more efficient. Blower comes in handy to clean things up. Flashlight, 2 different drills. One of them is my hammer drill, the other is a regular drill. 1/2-inch impact. Again, that has came in very handy, along with the floor jack over here for changing out the flat tires. Grease gun. You want to make sure that you keep your axles greased, and then I've got some other things here on the property that I have to grease. You've got drywall screw gun, so that takes the collated screws that are self-fed. So keep those here. I'm not sure if many people have seen those, but they do work quite well. So you feed those in your screw gun, and it makes it putting your drywall on much faster. This is my narrow crown stapler, pin nailer. Very nice tool for saving you from going in and putting in a lot of wood filler or something at the end of the job, but this can be a little sketchy tool because it doesn't have the typical safety that you would see on other tools where you have to depress the nose. This just has a double trigger, and I've had a few folks that I work with that will send one of those pin nails flying and didn't mean to. Over here for my bandsaw, works really well. Cutting pipe, unistrut, gas pipe if you're doing gas work. I got my cable stapler for anytime we're doing electrical work and we got to secure our wiring. That's a quick, fast way to do that. So much faster. My cordless coil roofing nailer here. This is my framing gun, 60 volt, 7 1/4 circular saw. This drill here is very nice. It is made by Simpson Strong Tie. Of course, it's got the DeWalt driver, but it's got the Simpson quick drive body on it, and you can feed the collated screws here. If you're putting down subfloor that has to be screwed or doing a decking project, this is a lifesaver. You could do it all standing up, and I bet it saved us 75% of our time just being on our knees screwing them down by hand versus running this system. Highly recommend that. I have a 16 gauge finish nailer here, a big drill here. I typically use that for mixing. Every now and then I'll use it for boring holes as it was originally intended, but that's usually just for mixing drywall mud or thin set mortar for tile. Drywall cutout tool. Multi-port charger is a must to get these batteries charged and back up and running quick. This came with my heated jacket that I got for Christmas one year, but that is very handy because it's got the USB ports on the back, so a lot of the guys use that to charge their cell phones on the job. Got my SDS Plus drill and chipper here. Very handy tool, especially with the different bits that we are running nowadays. As these hole saw bits for your SDS, they have a pilot bit that goes in those. Makes a very nice clean hole if you have to penetrate brick, block, or anything like that. And of course, standard reciprocating saw. Out on the front, grinder, jigsaw, 2 oscillators. Then surprisingly, we use 2 oscillators a lot. It just saves a lot of time back and forth from the guys swapping their tools out. Heat gun for the electrical projects where I got to put heat shrink on, or if I'm using a label maker to heat shrink some labels onto those wires. Cut-off tool. This is probably the best tool I have for cutting tile or any type of masonry dry. Good clean cut. Almost looks factory every time we use it, as long as you keep a good sharp blade on there. Router. don't use that a lot for any type of finish work, but it is very, very handy for cutting the plywood out if you're framing walls and you want to cut those windows out later or doors out later. Comes in quite handy. For the lighting system in here, I'll just put some plywood up, and not the prettiest setup that you're going to see, but I'm not taking people to prom in my tool trailer. I've got it to be functional. It does exactly what I need it to do. I've got 6 can lights in here. They give me all the light that I need. So back on this side, before we move to the other, got this is a DeWalt rolling tool chest. I got it years ago for $600 brand new from Home Depot, and it's been in my garage. It constantly stays cluttered, so I figured I would put it in the tool trailer and make good use of it. This came in very handy. Use my label makers to keep the drawers labeled, and that makes it easier if I have to send someone out here that I don't work with a lot to be able to get me something. So I've got tips, caulking guns, my laser, corded grinder, drywall tools, different types of nails for my 20-volt tools. Down here I've got more fasteners, roofing nails, straight nails for my pneumatic guns or my cordless. I've got my Craig jig, vacuum cleaner behind that. I have a bunch of gas fittings and things in a canvas bag, and this top shelf here is just fittings. Then we'll move over to this side. In this shelf here are my heavy items. So this is my SDS Max Hitachi hammer drill, or Metabo is the name brand on it now. My ProPress and my 10-inch circular saw, very handy for cutting 6x6s or anything when you're working with decking. I've got angle iron on both sides of this to hold those so they don't slide out, and then my ProPress in the middle. It's a lot lighter and easier to move, so I do have to take that out to get these, but very fast and easy. I've just got a cotter pin. I pull that cotter pin, falls down. I can take this out. That one cotter pin holds the ProPress in, nothing else slides. In here I've got my miter saw set up, works very well. Over here, battery storage, as you saw a moment ago. That works really well for me. I've never had any of these batteries come out. They lock in there quite well. I'll put a link to that product in the description below. Again, just the top half of the toolbox. It wouldn't fit in here, and I'd be able to raise the lid if I kept them together. And actually, I kind of like it having on the different sides. So again, you see multiple labels on there. It just makes it easier to tell someone to go to this drawer, get a pipe wrench, get my impact socket set, get you a headlamp, get the hammer tacker for insulation, flooring blocks, whatever the case may be. Down here I've got my cap nailer, pneumatic cap nailer for putting on house sheathing or roofing felt. In here, mostly caulking, some glues, some stains. I don't have a lot in there this time of year because the weather's not too good on it. Down here, shop vac, different attachments, filters, electrical components. In here I've got those labeled, so I've got your breakers, your outlets, your switch plate covers, wire nuts, box connectors, whatever I may need there. And I come over here, I've got 2 boxes of electrical components. So that's can lights, just miscellaneous things that I like to have on a job for when a customer wants to add things. And then anybody in construction knows that happens all the time. You can go ahead and handle it without making a second trip, and then just add that to the invoice later and reimburse your inventory. Plumbing fittings here. This is builder's level, belt sander behind it. Screws and lags. There's my tile box. In my tile box, trowels, spacers, anything else you might need. My diamond bits for drilling the holes. Tile saw. On the bottom section here, in this bottom I have more miscellaneous electrical stuff. That's more of my outdoor rated boxes that take the screw in, or the weather tight, or my metal boxes if it requires a commercial type setting application. Low voltage box in the middle, so that's for my coaxial Cat 6 connection, whatever I might need there. In this box, just miscellaneous plumbing, P-traps, trap adapters, various types of wire, just to keep handy, save us a trip to the store. Up here is a longer compartment, and in this I keep zip wall system, a canopy, plastic, shims, tripod for my laser or camera, some of my longer extension poles for if I need to put a cabinet in and use it as a lift to get the cabinet up in place. I got 4 of those lift poles in there, and that's stored in there nice. This is the strongest magnet I could find. It does very well, and it is a gun magnet that someone would use to secure a gun to keep it from, I guess, moving around your car if you want, that's where you want to keep it. Over in this section here, typically have a construction little giant style ladder here, the adjustable. That's on the job right now, but you can also see the different hand tools that I have in there. Ladders, push brooms, shovels, my pry tool to get decking boards up, garden hoe, mixing mortar, whatever I might need, mattock, post hole diggers, slate bar. And then on this side, a couple more regular 6-foot ladders, another platform, my pneumatic guns, hoses, cords, stand for my tile saw, table saw. Some people might ask why I don't use the more compact table saw, or why I carry both miter saws. It just works much better, and if you've ever tried to cut 6-inch wide trim material on a 20-volt saw, you'll realize real quick that you need the 12-inch sliding double bevel. Here I've got my different fastener boxes. I've got plumbing boxes in here that have PEX, copper, ProPress fittings, socket set if I need that, my label maker, torque wrench for if I have to set something to torque specs in an electrical box. So that is pretty much it for the inside. Up top, just a quick snap in for my broom, keep things cleaned up. LED strip light that goes down to the inverter. Again, that's for lights when I don't have shore power. And you can see the can lights again. And then down here hanging is the spray gun tip for the Simpson adhesive, which is similar. It reminds me of Great Stuff foam, but it comes out in that consistency, but it's a subfloor adhesive glue. It does a very good job. You can see the miscellaneous other things I keep behind this toolbox, which is my sanding discs. And then the only other thing is out here on the back with the gate down, pry bars, clamps. I've got some short throw lifting devices here. My decking tool, very handy for tightening up gaps in decking boards. I've got my fish rods for electrical, longer drill bits for electrical, long SDS max bit for drilling through brick or block, whatever I may need. This side drywall stilts, fish tape, little mini shovel if you're in a tight crawl space, another tourniquet on the back just for safety. So that's the tool trailer that works well for me. Hopefully you got something from this. Good luck.